Libra, this is your astrology forecast for January 2016. Thank you for joining me. It's nice to be with you today. I'm going to have a look at what's coming up for you in the month of January. So the first thing that you'll be working with on the 1st of January, the Sun and Pluto are both sitting in your 4th house of family. Okay, so the Sun represents your identity, is who you are. That sits in Capricorn, and you're going to have a really strong, grounded, practical idea of who you are as an individual. And Pluto sits right next to that. It's 5 degrees away. Pluto is change in astrology. It represents death and rebirth. It's like the phoenix rising from the ashes. And just to give you some further info on this, in mythology, Pluto was represented as Hades, the king of the underworld. Okay, so the fact that those two are sitting together means that there's a real sense of change about your identity and how you see yourself, especially when it comes to family relationships. So you know, people tell narratives about other people in families. We kind of categorize. You may be the grumpy sister, or you may be the generous uncle, or you may be the strict mother. You may notice at the beginning of the year how other people perceive you. You may become interested in altering that perception, or even becoming aware of that perception. And the relationship these two planets make becomes stronger over the days, and they meet, they conjunct at 15 degrees on the 6th of January. That's when it's going to be strongest. Now, 15 degrees in astrology isn't the most wonderful degree. 15 in numerology reduces to 6, and 6 is kind of temporary imbalance. So your fixed identity becomes shaken up. You have a window of opportunity that appears here, and you're able to redefine yourself. That connection ends on the 17th of January, so you've pretty much got half of January to look at this kind of theme in your life and really determine whether you're happy with it or not. On the 2nd of January, Mercury goes from Capricorn into Aquarius. Mercury is the planet of communication, so in Aquarius, you start to talk a big game, but not actually do much, okay? So Aquarius is very air, it's very much idea, and it's very much innovation. But when it comes to putting the action in, there isn't much in this case, okay? So with this shift of Mercury, you'll notice that your ideas are fired up, your imagination broadens massively, and that you become much more impractical. On the 3rd, there's a connection between the Ascendant. It opposes your Mars and your Moon in your 1st house, and then it forms a T-square with Mercury there in Aquarius. So the way this looks is you're going to feel very much driven, and you're going to feel strangely self-oriented. You, as the scales, you're very used to kind of looking at things in a fair, balanced way. You're very considerate of other people, but your ascendant, so the way you really are, is in Aries on the opposite side of the chart on the 3rd. That makes you very much interested in your own opinion. Your Moon and your Mars are in Libra, in your sign, in the 1st house. So Mars is the warrior, he's the soldier. He doesn't particularly like being in your sign, because you're all about balance. You're not about charging forward. You want to see both ways. So there's a sense of frustration, especially if someone doesn't see things your way. And the way out of this for you, if you do feel a little bit rattled or a little bit frustrated on the 3rd of January, is to communicate your ideas and see what other people think. Just put it out there. If it goes down well, great. If it doesn't go down well, who cares? Because the only thing that's important for you on this day is really to let go of that energy. Don't keep it in, it'll frustrate you. On the 4th of January then, Mars goes into Scorpio in your 2nd house, and this is interesting because you're going to feel a strong emotional connection with money and finances, okay? So if you're not particularly bothered about your income usually, you're going to feel a certain way about it on the 4th. Are you really proud of your achievements? Are you happy with the money you make? Are you happy with your standing in the company that you're in? Or would you like your finances to be different? Depending on your feelings, you'll get some practical, earthy ideas of how to make changes in that sense. So again, you know, we all want to feel well, we all want to feel comfortable, we all want to feel peace of mind and serene, But sometimes when we don't, it's a motivator and it's the energy we need to affect change in our lives. And this Mars now stays in your second house for the rest of the month, and it will urge you and drive you forward to do more with your finances. On the 6th of January, Mercury goes retrograde, okay? So the communication planet seems to be going backwards, and communication becomes more difficult. In your case, it's actually not that terrible, because you've got into a state of really having these kind of Aquarian innovative ideas that you're not doing anything with, and Mercury in retrograde kind of puts a stop to that. So the retrograde lasts until the 25th of January, and the way I see this is that you actually become more practical when it comes to romance and relationships that are intimate, and also relationships with your kids. So I think that gets much more grounded, that becomes much more practical, and you, Libra, actually benefit from this retrograde. Also on the 6th of January, Neptune sextiles your rising sign. The rising sign is now moved into Taurus in your 8th house, and there's a real dream of what you could achieve in your work, possibly. What is my potential? What could I do? On the 8th, Jupiter and the North Node, they join up and they start to square the Moon. Now, Jupiter and the North Node are sitting right on top of your first house in the 12th there. Jupiter is good luck and its expansion. The North Node is what you're trying to achieve, what you're striving towards. And there's a real sense of practical striving for you, Libra. I think you really want to make something real happen in your life. Your Moon there is in Sagittarius. Sagittarius, always about hope. You know, the month of December, it's pitch black in the Northern Hemisphere. Sagittarians need to look at the inner fire and have faith that the future is going to be better. And that's why they're always such a kind of bubbly, big kind of energy. This connects, the Moon and Sagittarius connect, and you have real dreams here. You have a real message to communicate. You really want to achieve something in your practical life. Allow yourself to be inspired on the 8th. Mercury goes into Capricorn on the 9th. Remember, it's still in retrograde. Now in Capricorn, it becomes very grounded, very practical, and I think unusually blunt. I think you need to be careful about really just throwing statements out there that you feel are true, that are very practical, but diplomacy goes out the window a little bit, and especially because Mercury is in retrograde, people might take you the wrong way. So especially if you feel the need to educate someone, okay? If you think someone is doing something that's unreasonable or misguided, it's not your job to correct them, and even if you do correct them, I don't think it will go down very well. The new moon occurs on the 10th of January, and that's in Capricorn in your 4th. Energy is going to be pulled into this chart. You're really going to be considering what work you can do on your family relationships, in your family relationships, to alter your role in the family. This is really important, and a lot of people I speak to struggle with family relationships. A lot of people who watch my channel, for instance, are very sensitive people, and they kind of fall victim often to other people telling stories about them or defining them. And it's about, you know, if you want to define yourself, it takes a certain amount of assertiveness and it takes a certain amount of action. You can either create distance between that and leave people to it, although this month I think you're not going to be creating distance. I think you're going to be looking at it directly and saying, I'm not happy with this, I want to change it. That's the strongest energy for the next 3 days, so really get clear on that. On the 13th of January, a Grand Trine appears in the chart until the 21st of January. Grand Trine is an area of real talent, and this is in the element of Earth. Connects your Jupiter and your North Node, your rising, and your Sun and your Mercury in this 4th house. So this is a blessing because it allows you to make changes, and you feel much more practical than you usually do. And this doesn't just apply to your family relationships, but it also applies to making something practical when it comes to your work. So you're really going to hit this year running. You're going to hit the ground running, rather, and you're really going to be able to implement the changes that you want to implement. On the 15th, there's another T-square that appears, and remember, you've still got this grand trine going on until the 21st. So this T-square now connects Jupiter and Chiron, and it peaks, the apex is in Saturn, and Venus there in your 3rd house. So something doesn't go exactly right. You've been making a lot of progress until now. Something snags. You hit a bump in the road. The way to do that is not to let the bump influence you too much, but to step back and to say, what is my purpose? What am I trying to achieve here in January? My message, what do I want to put out there? And get even stronger on that. So don't let this snag derail you from what you're trying to achieve. Mars opposes the Moon on the 17th of January. And I think you get some good news in business. I think the way you've been diligent is seen and appreciated. And I really think that the effort you've put in has some sort of practical, tangible outcome in the real world, especially when it comes to the person who employs you, or the company you work for, or the institution of other people as a whole. There's a kite in the chart on the 18th, and the kite is something that really takes flight by itself, okay? And this is all of these feelings that you've been having about a disappointment that is active in your working life or in your family life. So, oh, you know, I've wasted all this time not getting to where I want to get to, or the people in my family see me a certain way and that's not correct. By taking practical action, which you've been doing all month, today is the day when that really hits home and there is a change and that kite kind of takes flight, and it's a real symbol of hope that you can alter your circumstances when it comes to the people in your life. You're focused on other people in general. You're very interested in the way other people perceive you. That's a theme in your life. And if there's anything that you're not happy with, you really have a lot of power here this month. Another T-square occurs on the 20th between the Moon and Saturn, and that peaks with Chiron there in the 6th. Okay. So this again is about discovering what you're doing, learning something new, and the 20th will be a lesson. You'll get some information come in that helps you amend past experiences, or that helps you to see the past in a different light. The Sun goes into Aquarius on the 21st, and again this is in your 5th house, so you become much more focused on the future, focused on the potential of the way your relationships could be. You're really in dreamer mode in this month, especially when it comes to romantic relationships. See what's available to you, be open to that, dream the dream, and then put the action in to make it real. A new grand trine appears on the 22nd, and this is for one day only, and this one is in water. 2nd, 6th and 10th house, and this is really about work. Something hits home, a dream becomes realized at work, and you feel totally at ease as a result of this dream. So Mars, remember, has been sitting in that 2nd house all month. You've been kind of like fighting and clawing your way forward when it comes to your money and your belongings and your career. And because you've been really, really intense with that, there's a respite from that today. So either you get something, or either you just see that there's a lot of security there, that you don't need to fight so hard. But the 22nd gives you a sense of, whew, I can breathe, I can relax a little bit. On the 24th, Venus goes into Capricorn. That's sitting right at the bottom of your chart. Love is work, family is work. You feel very much like this is something that you have to apply yourself to. You're not feeling the love naturally. I don't think you're just like, oh, come to me, let me embrace you, I care for you so much. It's like, okay, here's Aunt Susan, I have to kind of be nice to her, and and it seems like a drag, and it seems like you have to really make an effort to be nice to these people. But you have the ability to do it. I mean, you can you can handle it. And the other thing you're interested in still is this altered perception of who you are. So I really think that it seems a little bit much. I think you've made a lot of progress there, but I think you're kind of ready now to switch gears a little bit and to have some success and for things to be easy. You know, if you're trying to change the opinions of other people, that's a thankless and an exhausting task. So give yourself a little bit of a break. The full moon also occurs on the 24th here. That's in your 11th house in Leo. And that's really nice. That's a positive, warm, fiery energy. The sun in Aquarius illuminates that full moon. That's in your 5th house. And the full moon then in Leo is about warmth flooding your spiritual body, your physical body. And you feel a new sense of excitement and you feel a new sense of enthusiasm. So turn away from the work you've been doing with family, on family, and really focus on what could be fun for you, what you want to do, and what your hopes and dreams are, and where you're at with them. There's nothing timid about a full moon in Leo. The 26th of January sees another T-square, so we've got a lot of T-squares here this month. That's between Neptune and the moon. Okay, and this is a very, very practical and spiritual T-square. It urges you to connect with spirit in a practical sense. So sit on the floor and meditate or do yoga. It will give you a spiritual insight into how you can improve yourself further. And this month, again, has been all about self-improvement. You will learn what the next step is, what the next right action is going into February. The moon conjuncts Jupiter on the 27th, and that's in your 12th house. So this is a really beautiful connection. You've got the gold and silver there of Jupiter and the moon, and the North Node in Virgo. There's a real sense of progress and a real sense of the angels kind of applauding you and saying, yes, well done for doing all of this hard work. Keep doing it. Your life is looking neater. Your life is looking more compatible with your inner self. And they're proud of you for the hard work that you've done in January. So it's not the easiest of all months, but certainly you're getting somewhere with it. On the 29th, there's another grand trine. That's in air this time. This is between your sense of self and your romantic self and what you're learning about. Okay, so you really feel this is the best day for you romance-wise. You feel at ease within yourself. The moon is in your sign, Libra. You feel at peace. You feel like you're in touch with your real self. You feel ready to do work. I think that's the key word here for January. Work when it comes to romance and also relationships with your children. And you have new ideas you can implement to make things better. Make things better, make things better. 31st of January, the end of the month, the moon conjuncts Mars there in your 2nd house, and it's back to feeling very strongly about money. Where is my money? Do I feel safe about my money? There's a strong emotional connection with money, and money is just an energy. It's very fluid, and whatever relationship, whatever stuff you bring to the table, it's very receptive to that. So if you feel like money is your master and there's never enough, money will shape itself into that form. If you feel like money comes to you naturally and easily and you never have to struggle, it just comes, then that's the way it'll be. So look, examine your relationship with money around the 31st. A wonderful book I read is The Abundance Book by John Randolph Price. It focuses on money from a spiritual perspective. I would recommend that to anybody. Okay, so that is a really good day for you to, again, make changes in your business life, in your working life, in your money life. Looking at your outgoings, your income, all of those things, you will really get a grip on them quite clearly. So that's January for you. I hope that's given you some insight into what you'll be working with. If you'd like a private reading with me, either about your career or romance or family, anything like that, then please get in touch via my website. It's gregoryscott.com. Click on the readings tab and you'll see the types of readings that I do, astrology and tarot and numerology. Please remember to subscribe to the channel. And if you want to find me on Facebook, it's Gregory Scott 444. Have a wonderful January. I'll be with you next month for your February forecast, and I'm also here on the YouTube channel daily for the daily tarot readings. Have a great month, and I'll speak to you soon.